Monday mornings were always loud at Hanul beauty coffee machines hissing, heels clicking, phones ringing. But that day, Celine noticed something different. The noise wasn't about work. It was about her. People were whispering again, pretending to scroll their screens when she passed. Some even looked at her with hidden smiles, others with sympathy. Celine tried to ignore it as she entered her office, but when she opened her laptop, her heart froze. Her inbox was flooded. Hundreds of emails, each one with a subject line that made her blood run cold. Club girl caught with the boss. Beauty company scandal. CEO and his staff? Celine, who really got her the job? Her hands shook as she scrolled. Attached to several emails were photos, blurry screenshots from that night at the club. Someone had leaked everything and twisted it into something filthy. Her first instinct was anger. Her second, humiliation. She slammed her laptop shut and buried her face in her hands. Who would even do this? She whispered. Then her office door opened. Mr. Han. Celine, he said, tone sharp but uneasy. What's going on? Why is the PR department calling me about a scandal? Celine stood. I don't know. Someone's spreading fake rumors about me and... She stopped herself before saying his name. Ms. Park sighed heavily. You know how this company is. Image is everything. Mr. Lee won't like this at all. Her throat went dry. Please tell him I had nothing to do with it. Mr. Han gave her a strange look. I won't have to. He already knows. When she entered the top floor suite, Taekwon was at his desk, scrolling through a tablet. He didn't look up when she came in. He didn't have to. He already knew she was there. Sit, he said calmly. She sat, trying to steady her voice. I didn't leak those photos. I swear I didn't. Someone is trying to. I know. She blinked. You know. He finally looked at her, eyes dark but not angry. I had IT trace the emails. They came from an internal account. Her heart stopped. Someone from the company? He nodded slowly. Someone who wanted you gone. She frowned. But why? I don't even. Jealousy, he said flatly. You stand out. People hate that. Celine clenched her fists. Then expose them. Fire them. He leaned back, watching her. You think it's that easy? In this business, enemies hide behind polite smiles. If I fire the wrong one, the real culprit wins. She fell silent, frustrated tears burning her eyes. After a moment, Taekwon stood and walked around the desk until he was standing beside her chair. He didn't touch her, but his presence was enough to steady her heartbeat and steal her breath at the same time. Do you trust me? He asked quietly. She hesitated. Should I? Probably not, he said with a half smile. But it's still the smartest choice you can make today. He handed her a file. Go home. Stay offline. Let me handle this. I can handle myself. I'm sure you can, he said softly. But I don't want you to have to. There was something in his voice. Something that made her chest ache in a way she didn't understand. That evening, as she sat on her couch scrolling through her phone despite his warning, a message popped up. Unknown number, you should have stayed quiet. Pretty faces don't last here. Celine's blood ran cold. She stared at the screen, then glanced at the window, city lights reflected on the glass like hundreds of eyes watching her. Before she could overthink, another message appeared. Unknown number. Check your office drawer tomorrow. You'll find proof. The next morning, she went in early. The entire floor was still empty, the air heavy with tension. Her hands shook as she opened her desk drawer. Inside, she found a flash drive. No note, no name, just a small silver USB. She hesitated for a moment, then plugged it in. Dozens of files popped up, screenshots, emails, transaction logs, all pointing to one name. She gasped. Mina, her coworker, the one who'd always smiled the sweetest, complimented her dresses, and brought her coffee. Celine felt her stomach twist. Why? She whispered. But before she could think further, the door opened. Taekwon walked in early, as if he already knew. He saw the open laptop, the flash drive, her face. You found it, he said simply. You knew. I suspected. He picked up the flash drive and pocketed it. This is enough. Leave the rest to me. But, no buts, Miss Celine. Go downstairs. Start your day. Smile like nothing happened. She stared at him. And you? He smiled faintly. I'm going to remind people what happens when they touch what's mine. Her breath hitched. I'm not yours. His smile deepened. Then tell that to the world when they see me standing next to you. He brushed past her, calm and cold, but Celine could feel the storm in his wake. By noon, everyone in the company knew. Mina had been escorted out by security. Her ID revoked. Her desk cleared. Whispers filled the halls again. But this time, Celine didn't bow her head. She held it high, her heels clicking like victory drums as she walked past. When she reached the elevator, Taekwon was there again. Waiting. No words. No smirk. Just a look. One that said, I told you I'd handle it. She smiled slightly. So, that's how you handle things? He leaned close, voice low. Only for people who make chaos look beautiful. The doors closed between them, but her smile lingered long after. The Hanul Beauty Building had never felt so still. After Mina's public firing, the air inside was heavy, like everyone was afraid to breathe too loudly. Every whisper, every click of a keyboard, every shuffling of papers seemed to echo. But the quiet didn't bring peace to Celine. It brought fear. She should have felt safe now, but she didn't. Her hands still trembled when she opened her emails. Her heart still jumped whenever someone laughed behind her. She couldn't shake the thought that someone else might be plotting, watching, waiting. That night, she stayed late to finish a report, long after everyone had gone home. The floor was empty except for the cleaning staff, whose soft mops whispered against the tiles like ghosts. Then came the sound of footsteps. Steady, calm, familiar. Her heart skipped. She didn't have to look up to know who it was. Still here? His voice came smooth and low. Celine lifted her gaze. I'm catching up on work. I can't afford to be seen as the scandal girl again. Taekwon stood at the door, coat draped over one arm. His black shirt rolled up just enough to reveal the veins along his forearm. His tattoos peeked out faintly under the cuff. Symbols she still didn't understand. You're not the scandal girl, he said. You're the one who survived it. Survived? She repeated softly, forcing a weak smile. That's one way to say it. He stepped closer, eyes narrowing slightly. You haven't eaten all day. She blinked. You've been watching me again? His lips curved. You make it too easy. She rolled her eyes but didn't argue. When he spoke again, his voice softened. Come on. There's a restaurant 2 blocks away. Quiet. No cameras. You need real food. I don't think it's a good idea, she said. If someone sees. Let them, he interrupted. I don't care what they think anymore. That made her heart flutter in a way she didn't want to admit. For a man who ruled a billion-dollar empire, he looked oddly tired. Like he was done pretending. So she followed. The restaurant was dim and private, hidden between tall buildings and bathed in the glow of warm lantern light. They sat across from each other in a booth near the window, the soft rain outside tapping against the glass. For a long while, neither spoke. He ordered for both of them, steak for him, noodles for her. She wanted to protest, but when she took her first bite, she couldn't stop. I forgot food could taste this good, she murmured. He smiled faintly. You forget a lot of things when you're surviving. That word again, surviving. It hit differently this time. She set her chopsticks down. You say that like you've survived something too. He looked at her for a long time before answering. Everyone survives something, Miss Celine. Some of us just get better at hiding it. She studied his face. The strong jawline, the scar barely visible near his neck, the cold eyes that sometimes flickered with warmth. You're always in control, she said quietly. Always calm, always unreadable. It's like nothing can touch you. He chuckled softly, but it wasn't joy, it was pain disguised as amusement. Calm is a choice, he said. It's what's left when you've already lost everything. Her breath caught. She wanted to ask what he meant, but something about the way he stared out the window stopped her. After a long silence, he spoke again. When I was 19, my mother owned a small hair salon in Busan. She worked until her fingers bled just to keep me in school. One day, a local gang demanded protection money. She refused. 2 days later, her shop burned to the ground. With her inside, Celine froze. The rain outside suddenly sounded louder. Taekwon's voice was calm, but his hands clenched slightly on the table. I wanted revenge, but I didn't have money, power, or connections. So I built them. One deal, one company, one sleepless night at a time. I turned myself into something untouchable. She swallowed hard. And you succeeded. He looked up, eyes meeting hers. No, I became lonely. The raw honesty in his tone hit her like a punch. For the first time, she saw him. Not the boss, not the name, not the image, but the man beneath all that steel. I'm sorry, she said softly. You didn't deserve that. He smiled faintly. No one deserves what happens to them. But we survive anyway. You, me, everyone. She nodded slowly. Maybe that's why we keep crossing paths. He raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? You survived fire, she said. I survived shame. Maybe the universe likes pairing broken things. He laughed quietly. A sound so rare it made her chest tighten. You think you're broken? She met his gaze, unflinching. Aren't we all? For a moment, the air between them shifted. No longer boss and employee, no longer predator and prey, but two souls stripped of their masks. Then his phone buzzed, shattering the moment. He checked the screen and sighed. Security issue at the warehouse. I have to go. Of course, she said, forcing a smile. Back to the Empire. He stood, placing a card on the table. My driver will take you home. Don't argue. Taekwon. He looked at her sharply. You just called me Taekwon. She froze. Sorry, I didn't. He smiled faintly, softer this time. Don't apologize. It sounded, right? Her heartbeat stuttered. Good night, then. He lingered a second longer than he needed to, then turned and walked away, his figure melting into the rain. That night, Celine lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Her mind replayed every word he'd said, every shadow of pain in his voice, every flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. The man everyone feared had once been a boy who lost his mother to flames. And somehow that truth made him feel closer. Her phone buzzed. A message. Taekwon, you left your notebook at the restaurant. I'll return it myself tomorrow. She smiled faintly. It was a small lie. She hadn't left anything behind. But maybe he just needed an excuse to see her again. And maybe she wanted him to. The city was quiet that evening. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that made every sound feel heavier than it should. Celine's heels clicked softly along the pavement as she left the taxi and walked toward her apartment building. The rain had stopped, but the air was damp, and her reflection shimmered faintly on the wet ground. It had been a long day. The company was trying to recover from the sabotage scandal. And though Mina was gone, whispers still lingered. Some employees avoided Celine's desk as if she carried bad luck. Others smiled too much, pretending nothing had happened. By the time she reached her door, she just wanted to shower, eat noodles, and forget everything. But when she slid her key into the lock, it turned too easily. Her stomach dropped. She froze, hand still on the doorknob. She knew she had locked it that morning. She always did. Slowly, she pushed the door open. The apartment was dark except for the glow of the city lights through her window. Everything looked normal at first. The couch, the coffee table, her shoes near the mat. But then she noticed the small things. Her perfume bottle lying on its side, her closet door half open, and her favorite mug broken near the sink. Someone had been here. Her heart thudded so loudly she could barely hear her own thoughts. She stepped backward, pulling her phone from her bag. Her hands shaking too much to even type the police number. Then her screen lit up. Incoming call, Taekwon. She stared at it for a second, startled, then answered. Hello. His deep voice came through immediately. Celine? You home? Yes, I just got. She stopped, realizing how shaky she sounded. Taekwon. I think someone was in my apartment. Silence. Then his voice, sharper this time. Don't move. I'm coming right now. Wait, you don't have to. The line cut. Celine stared at the phone, her pulse racing. She locked the door again and backed away from it, trying to breathe. Every sound made her flinch. The hum of the fridge, the ticking of the clock, even the faint wind outside. 10 minutes later, there was a firm knock. Celine. It's me. Her knees almost gave out from relief. She unlocked the door, and there he was, Taekwon, standing in the hallway, his coat slightly damp, his eyes cold and alert. He stepped inside without asking, scanning the apartment like a soldier entering enemy ground. His gaze landed on the broken mug, then the open closet. "Did you touch anything?" "No," she whispered. "I just found it like this." He nodded once, then walked around slowly, checking every corner, every window. His movements were calm, precise, the kind of calm that came from danger being familiar. After a few minutes, he returned to her side. "Whoever came here is gone. But they wanted you to know they were here." Celine swallowed hard. "Why? I don't have enemies." "You work for me," he said simply. "That's enough reason for someone to want to scare you." She blinked. "You think this has to do with the sabotage?" His jaw tightened. "Maybe. Or maybe it's personal. Either way, you're not staying here tonight." "I'm not going anywhere with you," she said quickly, though her voice trembled. He looked at her for a long moment, then set something down on the table, her leather notebook. "You left this at the restaurant," he said softly. "But that's not why I came. I wanted to make sure you were okay." Her throat tightened. "This is the second time you've shown up at my door, Taekwon." He stepped closer. "And both times you needed someone to." She froze under his gaze. His words were too direct, too sincere. "I'm fine," she lied, crossing her arms. "No," he said quietly. "You're shaking." He reached out, hesitating for just a second before brushing his fingers against her arm. His touch was warm, grounding. She didn't pull away. The air between them changed, slower, heavier. She could smell his cologne, clean and musky, and see the faint shadow of his tattoos under his open collar. "You don't have to act strong all the time," he murmured. "It's okay to be scared." Her eyes burned. "If I let myself be scared, I'll never stop." He exhaled, a soft sound that felt like surrender. "Then I'll be scared for you." Her breath caught. He turned slightly, scanning the room again. "I'll call security to post someone outside your door tonight. I'll stay until they arrive." "You don't have to." "I do," he interrupted. "Because if anything happens to you again, I won't forgive myself." She looked at him, really looked at him. This man who had once seemed untouchable, ruthless, arrogant. Now he was standing in her apartment, sleeves rolled up, concern written all over his face. "You're not what people say you are," she whispered. His eyes softened. "And you're not who you pretend to be." Silence filled the space between them. Not uncomfortable, just real. Outside, the rain began again, light and rhythmic against the windows. She sat down on the couch, finally letting herself breathe. "Do you ever get tired of pretending?" "All the time," he said. He took off his coat and draped it over her shoulders. "Rest. I'll keep watch." "Keep watch?" she repeated, almost laughing. "You make it sound like a movie." He smiled faintly. "Then let's hope it ends with a happy one." She lay back slowly, exhaustion finally catching up to her. Taekwon moved to the window, standing tall and silent, his eyes fixed on the city below. When she glanced at him one last time before sleep, he looked almost like a guardian, cold on the outside, but burning quietly inside. And for the first time in weeks, Celine slept peacefully. At 2:43 a.m., Taekwon's phone buzzed. A single message appeared on his screen. "Unknown number. You can protect her tonight, but you can't protect her forever." He stared at it for a long time, his expression hardening. Then he deleted it, slipped the phone back into his pocket and kept watch, never taking his eyes off the door. The night sky above Seoul looked like black silk splashed with diamonds. From Taekwon's penthouse, the city lights glittered endlessly, but inside the glass walls the air pulsed with quiet danger. Celine couldn't sleep. She sat on the edge of the couch, clutching her mug of tea. The clock read 2 a.m. Taekwon was across the room, leaning against the balcony door, half-dressed in sweatpants, his tattoos dark against the pale light. Rain had stopped, but thunder rolled far away, like the city was holding its breath. She looked at him and whispered, "You're sure nobody followed you?" He turned, eyes softer now. "I made sure. I always make sure." Silence. only the hum of the city below. Then he walked toward her, slow and deliberate. "You're still shaking." "I'm not." She forced a smile. "I just hate being hunted like this. I came to Korea for peace, for work, not to be." He cut her off gently. "Dragged into my world." Her eyes met his. "Exactly." Taekwon lowered himself to sit beside her. "My world isn't all blood and power, Celine. Sometimes it's music too. Sometimes it's this." He gestured to the rain-washed skyline, the faint reflection of them on the window. A black woman with fire in her eyes and a tattooed mafia boss who had lost his calm to her. Celine let out a breath. "You shouldn't have gotten involved. Now whoever's after me knows you care." "I don't care," he said quickly, too quickly. Then softer. "I can't afford to." She tilted her head. "Then why did you show up at my door in the rain?" He smirked, but his voice was low. "Because you looked terrified. And because—" He stopped. "Because I couldn't stand the thought of someone else scaring you." For a long moment neither spoke. The distance between them shrank until she could smell the faint scent of his cologne. Cedar and rain. Then, a sharp buzz broke the moment. Taekwon's phone lit up on the counter. He picked it up, eyes narrowing. Unknown number again. He swiped. A video started playing. Celine leaned over his shoulder and froze. It was a live feed from her office. Her desk, her files, everything, and a masked man sitting in her chair. Voice distorted. "She took what was mine. Time to repay." The video cut. Taekwon threw his phone down. "Stay here." "No," Celine said firmly, standing. "It's my office. My mess." He stared at her, half fury, half admiration. "You're unbelievable. And you're not going alone," she replied. He didn't argue. He just grabbed his coat and keys. Minutes later they were in his sleek black car, engine roaring through the wet streets. The city flashed by, neon lights and shadows. The beauty company building loomed silent in the early dawn. Taekwon's men, tall, silent, dressed in black, were already there. He gave a short command in Korean, and two of them entered first. When the door opened, the office lights flickered. Papers scattered everywhere. The masked man was gone. But on the glass wall, in red paint, someone had written, "You can't hide truth." Celine's chest tightened. "What truth?" Taekwon touched the paint, frowning. "Someone's trying to ruin both of us." A rustle behind them. A shadow moved. Taekwon spun instantly, pulling Celine behind him. One of his men dragged a woman forward. Her assistant, the same one who'd shown her the gossip post. "Why?" Celine gasped. "You worked for me." Tears streamed down the girl's face. "I didn't want to. They paid me. They said they'd kill my brother if I didn't send the messages." "Who?" Taekwon demanded. She looked up, trembling. "Mr. Han." The name hit like a thunderclap. Celine frowned. "The CEO? He's your rival." Taekwon nodded grimly. "He's been trying to take over the company for years. I rejected his deal last month. He must have found you an easy target. Thought he could use you to get to me." Celine's knees weakened. "So all of this was about you?" His jaw tightened. "No, it's about us now." He turned to his men. "Take her somewhere safe." Then he faced Celine. "He won't stop. Not until he gets what he wants." She stepped closer. "Then let's give him something he doesn't expect." Taekwon raised an eyebrow. "You have a plan?" Her lips curved. "Maybe you're not the only strategist around here." By evening, Seoul buzzed with gossip again. But this time it was about a surprise press conference at the beauty company. Cameras lined the hall, reporters shouting. Celine walked in, glowing in a cream power suit, head high. Taekwon beside her in his trademark black, hands in pockets. When she reached the mic, she smiled. "To those who tried to shame me for dancing, I say thank you. You reminded me that joy is power. To those spreading lies, meet the man you feared most." She turned slightly. Taekwon stepped forward, cool and composed. "Mr. Han thought he could hide behind threats," he said calmly. "But we traced every payment, every message. And the evidence is already with the police." Gasps filled the room. The screens behind them lit up with documents, bank transfers, chat logs, everything. The room erupted. Han, watching from his office, smashed his phone in rage. Within hours, he was arrested at the airport trying to flee. That night, peace finally settled over the city. Celine stood again by the penthouse window, barefoot, a glass of wine in her hand. Taekwon joined her, his arm brushing hers. "You handled the media better than I expected," he said quietly. She smiled. "You didn't think I could? I thought you'd cry." "I did," she said softly. "But not in front of them." He studied her face. "You're stronger than most men I know." She turned toward him, her voice teasing. "Flattery from a mafia boss? That's rare." "Truth," he murmured. They stood there, inches apart, the night warm around them. For the first time in weeks, there was no tension, only stillness and something unspoken between them. Celine whispered, "You never told me why you go to that club every Friday." He chuckled. "To watch you dance." She blinked. "You knew I was there all along?" He nodded, eyes glinting. "Every weekend. You acted deaf, remember? It made you untouchable. And I wanted to touch." Her breath caught. The air between them thickened. He leaned closer, voice low. "You fought me in every room, Celine. But tonight, I'm done fighting." She didn't move. Her heart raced as his hand found her waist, gentle but sure. For the first time, she didn't resist. She met his gaze and saw something raw, real, human. When his lips finally met hers, it wasn't wild. It was slow, deliberate, full of everything they had been denying. A kiss that said, "I see you. I choose you." When they pulled apart, she whispered against his lips, "What happens now?" He smiled. "Now, you stop pretending you're deaf to love." She laughed softly. "And you stop pretending you don't have a heart." He brushed a strand of hair from her face. "Deal." Outside, the city hummed, sirens, music, life. But inside the penthouse, it was just them. Two broken souls who had danced around danger and somehow found each other. The new billboard in Myeongdong showed Celine smiling beside Taekwon. The caption reading, "Beauty and power when two worlds unite." They had merged their companies, blending art and business, fashion and empire. Rumor said the ruthless mafia boss had gone soft. Others said he was more dangerous than ever because now he had something to lose. But to Celine, he was simply the man who once spanked her in a club and ended up falling in love. And sometimes on Friday nights, when music echoed through Seoul, she still danced. And he still watched, smiling quietly in the dark.
Hello besties, in this story we learned that true love often comes from the most unexpected places and pride can hide desire, but courage, honesty, and embracing your heart can turn enemies into lovers. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly like, subscribe and share.